On Christmas, my parents told me to hand over my entire December paycheck to my brother because he needed it more than I did. I chuckled and said, "That's funny because I have a little surprise for you too." Their expressions turned to stone the moment I flipped open my laptop and showed them. Christmas dinner was always supposed to be about warmth, laughter, and way too much food. At least, that's what it used to mean for me. But this year, it became something entirely different. It was the moment everything unraveled. The moment years of favoritism, guilt-tripping, and entitled demands finally exploded. And for once, I wasn't the one left empty-handed. I had always known I wasn't the favorite. That title belonged to my younger brother, Nathan. My parents spoiled him, protected him, and cleaned up every mess he made. Meanwhile, I was the responsible one, the one who never asked for anything, the one who got used to hearing, "Well, Nathan needs it more." I fought tooth and nail to get where I am today. Paid my way through college with scholarships and side hustles. Took extra shifts, climbed the corporate ranks, and after years of struggle, finally landed a job that paid me what I deserved. And this December, I received my biggest paycheck yet. I didn't even mention it to my parents, but they found out. We were seated around the Christmas table, passing food, making polite conversation, when my mom leaned in with that artificial sweetness in her voice, the one she always used before making an unreasonable request. "So," she said, glancing at my dad. "We were thinking that phrase was never a good sign. Since you got that generous salary this month, we thought it would be really kind of you to give it to Nathan. He's been having such a hard time lately." I blinked. For a moment, I thought she was joking. I let out a short laugh and said, "That's funny because I have a surprise for you too." Their faces brightened slightly, probably expecting me to announce something generous. That's when I pulled out my laptop. I had spent months collecting proof, screenshots, receipts, emails, everything. I turned the screen toward them. Silence. My mother's fake smile froze. My father's face turned pale. And Nathan? Up until that moment, he had been grinning like he always did when he thought he was getting away with something. But suddenly, he looked like a deer caught in headlights. See, what they never realized, what they never even bothered to ask, was that I had been keeping track. Every time they took money from me, every loan they swore they'd pay back, but never did. Every so-called emergency that just so happened to benefit Nathan. But that wasn't even the worst part. I had something else. Something that would make sure they never tried to take another cent from me again. I took a slow breath, leaned back in my chair, and said, "I hope you're ready for this." My mom's hand trembled as she reached for her wine glass. My dad clenched his jaw so tight I thought his teeth might shatter. And Nathan? He was already looking for an escape, shifting uncomfortably, his eyes darting around like a cornered rat. I let the silence drag out. Let them sweat. Then I tapped the screen. "This," I said calmly, "is every bank transfer I've ever sent you. Every so-called loan that was never repaid. Every urgent expense you needed help with because Nathan was struggling." I scrolled down. The numbers stacked up. Thousands. Tens of thousands. My mom opened her mouth to protest, but I lifted a hand. "I'm not done." I clicked on the next file. "This," I continued, "is Nathan's credit card history." Nathan sucked in a sharp breath. "How the hell did you?" I cut him off. "You're not as smart as you think you are." He had no idea I had access to his statements. No idea that while my parents were begging me for money to help him, Nathan was out blowing cash at bars, buying overpriced sneakers, and taking luxury vacations. I had screenshots of his social media posts, flashing bottles of champagne at exclusive clubs, jetting off to Miami, Vegas, Cancun. I even had a picture of him showing off a brand new gaming setup, one that cost more than my rent. My mom turned to him, her voice barely above a whisper. "Is this true?" Nathan scoffed. "It's not that serious." I let out a cold laugh. "Oh, but it is. And do you know why?" I clicked on the final folder. For the first time, my father spoke. What else could there possibly be? I turned the screen back to them, and this time, they had no way out. "This," I said, my tone firm, "is a breakdown of every mortgage payment I've covered for this house. The same house you assured me was fully paid off." My mom turned ghostly pale. My dad let out a slow, measured breath, his grip tightening on the table as if he were considering flipping it over. "Yeah, that's right. I figured it out. A year ago, my parents showed up at my door in tears, claiming they were at risk of losing their home. They begged for help, promised they only needed a little push to get back on track. I was hesitant, but I couldn't stomach the idea of them being homeless. So I gave. Again, and again, and again, until I started asking questions. I dug a little deeper, and that's when I uncovered the truth. The house was never at risk. The money? It vanished. Tell me, Nathan, where did it go? My parents had funneled every last cent straight to him. His supposed struggles? A complete fabrication. That cash had been funding his weekend getaways, his reckless spending, his nights out. I leaned back in my chair, arms crossed. So, explain to me one more time, I said, my voice cold as ice. Why should I give him my December salary? The silence was suffocating. The only sound was the ticking of the kitchen clock, each second dragging out longer than the last. Then, my father finally spoke, his voice sharp, controlled. You went behind our backs. I let out a humorless chuckle. Behind your backs? No, you went behind mine. You stole from me. Nathan slammed a hand against the table. You're overreacting, he snapped. This isn't a big deal. I stared at him, my patience long gone. You all lied to me, over and over. And you expected me to just keep handing over my money while you wasted it on this. I gestured at him. This parasite. Nathan shot up from his seat. I'm not a parasite. My father stood too, pressing both hands against the table. Sit. Down. Nathan hesitated, but something in my dad's voice made him drop back into his chair, seething. My mom reached out, her voice soft, pleading. Sweetheart, you don't understand. I pulled my arm away. No, you don't understand. I pointed at my laptop. I have evidence. Every single thing you did. I leaned in slightly, lower my voice. And now, you're going to pay me back. Their faces crumbled. Yeah, they weren't expecting that. For the first time, I had the upper hand. And I wasn't stopping there. The energy in the room shifted. My mom looked like she was about to burst into tears, but I wasn't falling for it this time. My dad's expression hardened, calculating his next move, already looking for a way to twist this to his advantage. And Nathan? His hands were clenched so tightly his knuckles had turned white. You seriously expect us to pay you back? My dad finally asked, voice calm but laced with irritation. I nodded. That's exactly what I expect. He allowed a dry laugh. And if we refuse? I smiled. I had been waiting for him to ask. I clicked on another file, turned the laptop around, and slid it toward them. Then I send this to the IRS. My mom made a choking sound. My dad's posture stiffened. Nathan frowned. The IRS? What the hell are you talking about? I tilted my head slightly. Oh, it means our dear parents have been involved in some good old-fashioned tax fraud for the last 5 years. I tapped the screen. Falsified deductions. Manipulated income reports. And oh, look at this. Listing you as a dependent. Nathan, even though you've been making plenty of money under the table. Nathan's head snapped toward them. Wait, what? I nodded. Yeah, you were never as broke as they made it seem. In fact, you've earned more than me at times. Illegally. Cash jobs. No taxes. And guess who covered for you? Our wonderful parents, committing fraud in your name. Nathan's expression shifted from confusion to pure fury. Are you kidding me, Dad? But my father wasn't even looking at him. He was staring straight at me. And for the first time in my life, I saw real fear in his eyes. You don't want to do this, he said quietly. I tilted my head slightly. And why not? Because we're family. A bitter laugh escaped me. Family wouldn't have drained my finances. Family wouldn't have deceived me for years. Family wouldn't have let me struggle while throwing money at someone who refuses to take responsibility for his life. Nathan bolted upright, jabbing a finger in my direction. Oh, shut the hell up, you arrogant piece of shit. You think you're better than me just because you work some pathetic office job? You think that makes you more deserving? I met his glare, unflinching. Yeah, actually I do, because I earned it. My mom buried her face in her hands, sobbing. My dad rubbed his temple, his expression unreadable. And then, something unexpected happened. Nathan laughed. A slow, malicious laugh that sent a chill up my spine. You really think you've won? He asked, shaking his head. You think you're the only one with a plan? A bad feeling crept into my gut. What the hell are you talking about? His smirk widened. Guess it's time for my surprise. He pulled out his phone, tapped a few buttons, then turned the screen toward me. My stomach sank. There, staring back at me, was an email from my company's HR department. I scanned it, my pulse skyrocketing. A formal complaint. A serious accusation. Financial misconduct. Claims that I had misused company funds for personal expenses. A setup. A goddamn setup. I looked up at him, disbelief tightening in my chest. Nathan grinned. See? You weren't the only one thinking ahead. My hands curled into fists. You framed me. He shrugged. Call it insurance. My heartbeat thundered in my ears. If my company took this seriously, everything I had worked for, my job, my career, my reputation, could be gone in an instant. And the worst part? I could see in my parents' eyes. They knew. They had helped him. This wasn't just favoritism anymore. This was an all-out betrayal. I stared at Nathan's phone, my pulse pounding in my ears. The fake HR complaint. The trap he had set. The sheer nerve of it all. I forced myself to stay calm. Don't give him the reaction he wants. I met his gaze head-on. How long have you been planning this? His smirk widened. Does it matter? You thought you were the only one who knew how to play the game. Guess what? You lost. I turned to my parents. My dad refused to look at me. My mom dabbed at her fake tears, avoiding my eyes. That was all the confirmation I needed. They were in on it. They were willing to throw me under the bus just to keep Nathan afloat. A bitter chuckle escaped my lips. You hate me that much? My mom gasped, her face the picture of innocence. Sweetheart, no. We had to protect him. He's not as strong as you. He wouldn't make it without us. I shook my head. You mean without me? Nathan scoffed. Oh, get over yourself. You act like you're some big deal just because you have a boring office job. I snapped. That boring job is the only reason you still have a roof over your head, dumbass. He rolled his eyes. You really think you're untouchable, don't you? That company doesn't care about you. You're disposable. And once this complaint goes through, you're done. Something in me shifted. For years, I had let my family drain me, my money, my time, my energy. I had played the role they assigned me, the reliable one, the responsible one, the one who never fought back. But this was war. I leaned back in my chair, arms crossed. You want to play dirty? I said coolly. Fine, let's play. Nathan opened his mouth, probably to throw out another smug remark, but I cut him off. You didn't actually send that complaint yet, did you? He blinked. What? I smirked. Oh, I know you didn't. It's still sitting in draft mode. His expression faltered before he quickly pulled his phone back. So what? I'll send it right now. Go ahead. He hesitated. I leaned in. Do it. His fingers hovered over the screen, hesitation flickering in his eyes. And that's when I laughed. A slow, dark laugh. You're bluffing. He scowled. No, I'm not. Oh, but you are. I shook my head. You thought you had leverage. You thought you could corner me. But you don't even understand how corporate HR works. I lower my voice. Do you really think my company will just take an anonymous complaint at face value? That they won't investigate? That they won't track where it came from? His smirk cracked. I let out another laugh. Wow, you really didn't think this through, did you? Nathan shifted in his seat, trying to regain his confidence. Even if they investigate, it'll still ruin your reputation. I shrugged. Maybe. But guess what? I actually have a lawyer. And do you know what's illegal, Nathan? Silence. I smiled. Filing a false claim. Defamation. Corporate fraud. I leaned forward. I have receipts proving I've done nothing wrong. And if you send that complaint, I will sue you. I will take this whole damn family down. I turned to my father. And let's not forget your little situation. His jaw tightened. I tapped my laptop. All it takes is one email to the IRS, and suddenly, you're dealing with an audit. Fines. Maybe even prison time. My mom gasped. You wouldn't. I tilted my head. Why not? You had no problem letting Nathan try to destroy my career. Why should I protect you? Nathan slammed his fists on the table. You're full of shit. I shrugged. Try me. The tension in the room was suffocating. For the first time, they weren't the ones holding all the cards. I stood up, calmly packing my laptop. Here's what's going to happen, I said, my voice steady. You're going to drop this pathetic little scheme. You're going to stop asking me for money. And you're going to pay me back. Every single penny. My dad scoffed. And if we don't, I slung my bag over my shoulder. Then I burn it all down. I turned toward the door, and then my mother let out a raw, broken scream that cut through the air like a knife. You can't just walk away from us. I paused, then turned back. My father sat rigid, his pride keeping him from begging. But my mom, she knew. She knew this time was different. She lunged toward me, her voice frantic. We're family. We're all we have. I exhaled slowly. No, I was all you had. Then I looked at Nathan, my voice cold enough to freeze the air. And you? You're nothing to me now. Something flickered across his face. Shock, maybe even fear. But I didn't stay to watch. I walked to the door, stepping out into the crisp December air. For the first time in my life, I felt free. I never looked back. A month later, I got notification. One of the payments I had demanded had been transferred to my account. I didn't reply. I didn't reach out. I focused on myself, on my future, on my peace. As for them, well, a cousin mentioned that the IRS had come knocking. I never sent the email, but someone else must have. Funny how karma works. I walked out of that house knowing this time I wasn't coming back. But that didn't mean it was easy. Even though I had finally taken control, even though I had put an end to the endless cycle of being used, a part of me still felt the weight of what had happened. For years, I had been the backbone of that family, and now, for the first time, I was truly alone. But it was better this way. Better to be alone than surrounded by people who wouldn't hesitate to destroy me just to keep their comfortable lifestyle. At first, I braced myself for retaliation. I thought they would try to get back at me, that Nathan would find another underhanded way to make my life miserable. But instead, there was silence. No calls, no messages, just nothing. And that unsettled me more than anything, because I knew this wasn't over. Months later, I heard through a distant cousin that things had fallen apart for them. My father did his best to keep up appearances, but with the bills piling up and no money from me to cover the gaps, everything crumbled fast. The IRS investigation hit them like a wrecking ball. Audits, massive fines, back taxes. They uncovered years of fraudulent filings, forged records, and money that had simply disappeared without explanation. And without me as their financial safety net, they had nowhere to turn. My father tried to salvage what he could, but in the end, he was forced to sell the house they had lived in for decades, the same house they had tricked me into paying for. My mother completely unraveled, with no money, no home, and her carefully curated reputation in shambles. She lost the one thing she valued most, control. She had always prided herself on keeping up appearances, on pretending we were a picture-perfect family, but now, the illusion was gone. She tried to reach out to me. First, short, hesitant messages asking if we could talk. Then, long-winded voicemails I never listened to. Until, one day, she sent a text that got straight to the point. Please, we need you. We have nothing left. And that brought me a quiet, undeniable satisfaction. For the first time, they were experiencing what it felt like to be without someone to hold them up. Nathan, on the other hand, took the path I always knew he would. When the free money dried up, so did his lavish lifestyle. He tried to maintain it for a while, maxing out credit cards, taking out loans, but reality hit hard and fast. He lost his apartment, had his car repossessed, and eventually, he was evicted. It wasn't long before he started looking for a way out. First, he turned to his friends, then to distant relatives, and finally, to me. I found out when I got a call from an unknown number. I answered, and there he was. I know you hate me, he said, skipping the pleasantries. But I have nowhere else to go. I just need a little help to get back on my feet. It was the first time I'd heard his voice since that disastrous Christmas dinner. There was something in it I had never heard before. Real desperation. Fear. The kind of fear that comes from realizing no one is coming to save you. But this time I wasn't his safety net. You want my help? I asked, my tone ice cold. After everything you did? After trying to ruin my career? There was a pause, then a long, tired sigh. And finally, in a low voice, he admitted, I was wrong. I was an idiot. But you know how our parents are. You know, they made me believe I could do anything and get away with it. I got used to it. I swallowed hard. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for him. But then I remembered. The stolen money. The lies. The trap he had tried to set for me. You're right, I said. You to get used to it. But I'm not playing that game anymore. Figure out yourself. I hung up before he could say another word. I never heard from him again. As for me, life moved forward. Without the weight of my family dragging me down, I finally focused on what mattered, my own future. I poured myself into my career, traveled, and enjoyed a level of freedom I had never known before. And you know what? I had never been happier. For the first time in my life, everything I achieved was truly mine. No one demanding a piece of it. No one taking advantage of me. No one twisting my kindness into obligation. Just me and my peace. People sometimes ask if I regret it, if I miss my family. My answer is always the same. No, because real family doesn't steal from you. They don't lie to you. They don't tear you down for their own benefit. What I had wasn't a family. They were parasites. And now, for the first time, I am free.